When you understand this story about 3 dogs, it will explain a lot about your experience as a man, your struggles with discipline, bad habits, and addictions. And the story will reveal to you an important secret about becoming an integrated man that unfortunately nowadays has gone mostly forgotten. When clients come to me with their struggles in quitting porn addiction, a very common pattern is that of the relapse cycle, where they'll be doing great for maybe a few days, maybe even a few weeks, and then all of a sudden there's a massive binge and relapse. And then they regret it so much and they try again and again, they're so disciplined, only to relapse again, and just keeps going around and around in this loop. Usually these people experience their sexual urges and their urges to relapse on pornography as this almost uncontrollable animalistic urge that they try to keep under control, but eventually they lose the fight. And on the surface, this might just seem like a struggle with porn addiction, with addictive, compulsive behaviors, but actually under the surface, there's a lot more going on. And this isn't just about quitting an addiction. This is about how you show up as a man in the world. So if you've been frustrated with your experience of trying to quit porn addiction or other unhealthy addictions, or you've also just generally felt frustrated with your experience as a man, this episode is for you. Welcome to the Quit by Healing podcast. Let's get straight to the story of 3 dogs. Imagine a dog, a big dog, one that is still pretty close to his wolf ancestors, maybe a German Shepherd. And you know that this is a powerful dog. It's a potentially dangerous dog. This dog can bite someone's face off. And of course, we don't want that. The question is, what is our response to this potential power that the dog has? One option is we can say, this dog is too dangerous, we need to lock him up and never let him out. And we just lock him in a cage, keep him there forever, pretend like he doesn't exist. We're basically telling the dog, you are too dangerous, you're not allowed to exist, you are bad, therefore you're locked up. What will happen with this dog? As you can imagine, this dog is going to go crazy. A dog is not supposed to be locked up all the time. A dog needs to be running around, sniffing things, exploring the world, meeting other dogs, and doing dog things. If we take all of that away from him, this dog is going to go completely mad. And if he ever breaks out, he's going to go wild. And in fact, he might actually end up biting someone's face off. Now, let's think of a second option. You can say, okay, I'm not going to lock the dog up forever. I'm just going to keep him on a leash, and I'm going to give that leash a hard tug whenever the dog does something he's not supposed to do. So now at least the dog can be outside and do some of the dog things he wants to do. And we preserve his sanity, at least mostly. And you might have an experience of most of the time you can go around with this dog and everything's fine. Every once in a while he's like pulling at the leash. Maybe he starts barking at someone and you're like pulling him back, holding him back. And think about the experience that other people have here. Like you can see, okay, he's on a leash, you seem to have him under control, but it's kind of unpleasant, right? Being close to a dog owner and a dog where the dog is like barking and snarling and pulling at the leash, it doesn't feel great. But at least no one's coming to harm. But there's a third option. Think of a dog that is highly trained. A dog that is so well trained, he doesn't need to be on a leash. Think of a service dog in the military, or a police dog, or a rescue dog. This is a dog that is so well trained, he will exactly follow the commands given to him. And he will never just unpredictably start running around and doing crazy stuff. And that's why he doesn't even need to be on a leash. And ironically, this dog is actually more dangerous than the other 2 dogs combined. Because he is not just an average dog, he's a trained dog. He has better strength and stamina and a whole skill set that he has been trained to do that the other dogs don't have. A service dog and his handler is a lethal, high-skill, highly capable combo. Now think about what it's like to be around a dog like this. On the one hand, it feels safe. You can see the dog just calmly sitting there next to his handler. The dog is calm, he's not growling, he's not barking. You can immediately tell there is no danger here. But at the same time, only a fool would misinterpret the dog's calmness as a sign that he's harmless. Yes, it's true, you're not in danger right now, but you also know that you can't get away with anything around a dog like that. You can feel that you're in the presence of something potentially dangerous. So why am I talking about these dogs? Well, the dog represents your inner animal. And the handler's relationship with the dog is your relationship to your animal instincts and urges. Unfortunately, most men do not have a good relationship with their inner animal. Most of us are taught as boys that our instincts are bad, that our animal urges are bad and dangerous and need to be kept under control. And this is especially true for our sexual urges. As a result, most of us treat our masculine instincts like dog number 1 or dog number 2. So either we try to deny the existence of it altogether, we try to lock our desires, our urges, our instincts away in a cage and hide it away in a dark corner of our psyche and hope that it never ever comes out. And what happens? Exactly the same as in our story of the dog. That part of us goes crazy. That part of us is not meant to be locked away and it cannot be denied. And either all of that denial and suppression and shaming just leads you to self-destruct and you collapse in addictive habits and depression, or you have the relapse cycle kind of problem where you try to keep a lid on it, you try to control it, and every once in a while it just bursts out uncontrollably. And it feels like there's nothing you can do but let this thing run wild for a while before you gain control over it. You try to wrestle it back into its cage in the cellar of your psyche, only for the same thing to keep repeating over and over again. Another common experience is the dog number 2 experience, where you're not completely denying this part of yourself, but you're just keeping a tight leash on it. You're always trying to keep it away from people. This is overall better, but it does make you appear out in the world like the dog owner who has the aggressive dog on the leash, where people around you feel a little uncomfortable. They can feel that something is off. You're never fully stepping into your power, and it feels like you also don't have your power under control. Even if other people are never aware of this consciously, subconsciously, everyone picks up on this kind of thing. What's extremely rare, but also definitely the best option, is to treat your inner animal like dog number 3, which means you don't suppress it, you don't deny its existence, you're not in a constant struggle against it. Instead, you integrate it, you make it part of yourself. And that doesn't mean you just let it run wild at all times. It means that you have a good, clear relationship with this part of yourself. It is not in control of you, you are in control of it, and yet it doesn't have to be in a cage and it doesn't have to be on a leash. And when that's the relationship you have to your own primal masculine desires, to your own sexuality, you show up in the world with this silent power that people can pick up on and everybody notices. Now here's an extremely important thing to understand to really put these pieces together. There is no difference between your sexual energy and your life force energy. This is something that has been part of many ancient teachings, such as the Taoist teachings that go back thousands of years. People who have done inner work and energy work have always realized there is just one life force. Your life force is what drives everything. It's a creative force inside you. It's the thing that makes you want to go out there and explore the world. It's the thing that gets you up in the morning. It's the thing that drives your ambitions. The thing that makes you want to create things, succeed in life, hit the gym and get a new PR, compete in your sport, you name it. There's a primal force that drives all that, and it's the same force that is your sex drive, that drives you out to encounter other people, to find a partner and to have sex, which is inherently a creative act. It creates an experience, it creates connection, and ultimately, it also creates life. There is no way to suppress your sexual urges and your sexual desires without suppressing your overall aliveness and life force. So integrating this part of yourself instead of shaming it and trying to suppress it doesn't mean that you'll be horny in the boardroom at your business. It means that you'll be more alive, more awake, more active in the boardroom at your business, because that's the appropriate expression of your energy in that context. But it's also that same aliveness, that same energy that will make you notice a woman that you're attracted to. It will give you the courage to go over and talk to her and start a conversation. And if you're the guy who is not trying to keep his dog in a cage or on a leash, she will pick up on it, which means you don't have to say or do anything overtly sexual. She can just feel that power. She can feel that you are someone who has sexual energy and that you can let it flow, but you also have it under control. and that is incredibly attractive. This is what it means to be a fully integrated man, and this is why your relationship to your life force energy, your relationship to your inner animal, isn't just about whether you're addicted to porn or not, or how easily you can quit. It's also about how you show up in life, how successful you are, how much energy you have to do things and create things, and how attractive you are to women. Now, if you're with me this far, you're probably wondering, okay, how do I do this? And I'll share with you several practical tips for how to cultivate a good relationship with your inner animal and become an integrated man. But first, I also want to really emphasize that what I'm talking about here is not just theory. This is something I have lived and experienced firsthand. Really, really clearly. When I was younger, I struggled a lot with sexual shame, and I was definitely the guy who was always trying to shove it down into some dark closet of my psyche. And it caused all kinds of problems and all kinds of suffering. Now, over time, I did the kind of work that I talk about here on Quit by Healing in order to dissolve some of that shame and in order to build a better relationship with my own sexuality. And it improved everything in my life. I also used a lot of, to be honest, force and discipline to do things like build good habits, and I built a successful business, and I also trained myself to not be afraid to talk to women, and I improved many aspects of my life while still carrying quite a lot of that shame with me. So it was only later that I managed to really have some breakthroughs and create a more integrated relationship with my own inner animal. At this point in time, I was already pretty accomplished. I was already living the life in many ways. And I could not believe how big of a difference this still made. It's like all of a sudden I was just overflowing with energy. And the thing that blew my mind the most is to see the effect I had on other people. It's the kind of thing that I always dismissed as sounding too good to be true, but I could tell that there was something magnetic about me all of a sudden. Like the way especially women would respond to just my presence was incredible. In my own life, in my own experience, it seems that there's a very direct correlation between how good my relationship with my own sexual desire is, so how low my shame and repression is, and how attractive I am to other people. And this is why the kind of thing I've been teaching here on Quit by Healing and all the ideas around integrity have become so important to me. Okay, so let's get into the practical steps. How do you become the integrated man? So the very first thing is discipline. If you think about dog number 3, you cannot get there without discipline. And this is one of the things that's simply in the nature of being a man. As a man, you have a lot of potential power, and you must learn to cultivate your power and control your power. There's no way to do this without discipline. And there's one twist here that I'll get to in a moment. But first, the practical thing I recommend is that you need to have at least one thing in your life that you do with discipline, one area of your life where you apply discipline and you practice the skill of discipline. My number one recommendation here is training, and it can be anything. A disciplined routine of going to the gym every other day or every day. Maybe you have a sport that you practice. Maybe you go to your jiu-jitsu or your football or your boxing or your whatever it is. You pick something that's a physical activity, something where you are going to be training, and you show up with consistency, on time, no questions asked. And you recognize that that is part of what you're training. If I'm going to the gym every day, I'm not just going there to train my body, I'm also there to train my skill of discipline. You want at least one major thing that you pursue with discipline. And then you can start adding lots of small elements of discipline to your life. It can be something like going to bed at the same time every day. It can be something like spending at least 15 minutes every evening reading or writing, doing some introspective writing. It can be turning off all your screens 2 hours before you go to bed. It can be some kind of consistency in your diet, and so on. There's lots and lots of little things where you can start stacking these little habits of discipline in your life. It doesn't always have to be the big thing, such as, training or working on your business or pursuing your career, your studies, and so on. Those are like the big things that require discipline. But you can also stack all of these little moments of discipline into your day. And the more you do that, the more you trust yourself that you can do it, the more you trust that you can cultivate your skills, cultivate discipline, and be in control. Now here's the important twist. Cultivate discipline and do it with love. This is what a lot of men get wrong. Again, think of the dog analogy. You can train your dog to become disciplined, and you can do it in an abusive way. You can get angry at your dog every time he doesn't follow a command or does something wrong. You can basically be an asshole to your dog while you're training him. Or you can do it with love and patience and kindness. And that's probably going to work a lot better, a lot faster. And the same applies to how you cultivate your own discipline. There's absolutely no need for, and also no use in, being abusive to yourself about your habits. You don't have to make yourself feel bad about your physique in order to go to the gym. You don't have to, in your head, be abusing yourself when you fall off and break your streak and don't go to the gym one day. That's just like, that's one mistake you made. You try again next time. You understand that this is a learning process and that you're slowly getting better. That doesn't mean that you don't have discipline. You can be firm and loving at the same time. Then the second part, and it's important that this comes after discipline, right? Discipline is the foundation to all this. But the second part is to allow yourself to feel some of your primal instincts and urges and allow that part of yourself to play. One way to do that is in the context of your habits. For example, with my own training, something that I've started doing is that I allow myself the freedom to be flexible with what exercises I do at the gym more than I used to. So I show up to the gym consistently. But if I don't feel like doing a certain exercise, I allow myself to switch that out to something that just feels more fun or more exciting that day. Also, if I'm having a really low energy day, I allow myself to go to the gym and have kind of a lazy, kind of an easy workout, because I believe that showing up consistently is the thing that matters above everything else. If overall I keep showing up and most of the time I'm pushing myself hard, it's all good. And every once in a while I can just go there and move in ways that are fun. Here's another example of this that you can try out very easily. Tomorrow morning when you get up, set a timer for 10 minutes and then just move your body in ways that feel good to you. So instead of saying, I'm going to do this series of exercises and mobility routines or whatever, you just feel into your body and you think, what would feel good right now? Maybe doing some push-ups or burpees would feel good to like bring your system alive. Or maybe you feel more like doing some light stretches. Maybe you just kind of want to lie on the floor and stretch your body and roll around a bit. Just whatever feels good. This is a practice of listening to that part of yourself. Right? Listening to the part of you that's just, well, you have an animal body that likes to move. And how can you let it move? How can you enjoy movement for the sake of it? That is a way to cultivate that connection with your inner animal. And it's the opposite of the shaming and suppression that we're so often taught to do. And finally, another good way to practice this is through self-pleasure. If you're new here, it might shock you to hear me say this. But very explicitly, Quit by Healing is not about no-fap. This is not about never masturbating again. This is about quitting the toxic habit of pornography. And masturbating, self-pleasuring without pornography can be a completely healthy and wholesome habit. If this sounds crazy to you because you've been indoctrinated by lots of no-fap stories, I'll link to a much longer explanation of exactly why this is my belief and why it also helps with quitting porn, by the way. So that is linked in the description of this video. But here's the thing, self-pleasure, if you do it mindfully, can be a great way to cultivate that energy, that life force, and undo the shame around your sexuality. And when I'm talking about self-pleasure, I'm not talking about like just jerking off as quickly as possible to let off some steam. I'm talking about taking your time and allowing yourself to really feel pleasure and explore how you would like to feel pleasure. And the real trick here is to stay in your body so that you don't start fantasizing, you don't essentially start making porn in your head while you do it, but you connect with your physical sensations, the sensations in your body, and you explore, how do I want to feel pleasure right now? For a lot of guys, this is actually kind of difficult to do. It feels a little bit vulnerable. And it's also exactly the kind of thing that puts you in touch with your own sexual energy in a way that will make you a much better lover. So this is how to cultivate that connection and become an integrated man. As you can see, there's a theme here of combining discipline with flow. This is exactly what you need to break out of that relapse cycle we talked about before, where you're in a constant power struggle. This is an application of discipline without abuse and without shaming, where you can combine discipline with a freedom to play. And when you follow this advice, it puts you onto the path of developing your masculinity in an integrated way. And believe me, the world will notice. So that is the story of the 3 dogs. I'd love to hear how this landed for you. And if you have any questions about how to become a more fully integrated man, feel free to leave a comment below. Also, if you enjoy the content I'm putting out, one of the best things you can do to help me out is just leave a comment, leave a like, interact with this in some way. That helps boost it in the algorithm and helps bring this kind of message to more men who need it. If you want to learn a step-by-step system to overcome your porn addiction, check out the first link in the description, which goes to my newsletter, where I'll send you a series of emails that explain the basic concepts of Quit by Healing, which are the things I've discovered working with clients who I've helped beat a stubborn porn addiction when nothing else has worked. So sign up by following the first link below. That's it for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one.